cold water is one thing, but when you combine cold water with current, it really limits what you can throw. Got him.
Got it?
Yep.
Yeah. Here we go. Alrighty.
That's the first throw of the day. All right, gang. All right, gang. That's a good sign. You know, fishing in cold water is one thing, but fishing in cold water with current is a total different animal. And really, in all honesty, I wanted to come to a place that I kind of grew up fishing throughout my 20s with Vandy, with Neil. You know, I really wanted to do a little YouTube video about fishing cold water combined with current. So we came to an area that Neil, Neil and I fished tournaments when I was in my 20s, and now he actually works for Zona Show with us. He's worked with us for a decade. And here's what he is, number one, he is a straight up thunder hammer. All right, gang. All right, gang. That's a good sign. That's the first throw. If you look over my buddy's shoulder right there, cameraman Brandon, that's Lake Erie out there. Real cold water right here. That's fun.
Oh, come on.
It's gonna get ugly.
2 for 2 there?
What we're fishing is basically, it's just a giant 5-mile stretch of current that Neil and I grew up on in our 20s. We used to fish a bunch of tournaments out here. But when the water's cold, there's no pressure. There's just no pressure. And the weird thing about current like this, you kind of let the current wash your bait instead of you working your bait. In current, they're gonna crush things head first, and that's exactly what they did to that coffee tube. But as time went on, they started getting the entire bait and not just getting the head of it. Hi there. Uh-huh. But what's funny in real cold water, when it's warm,
That's all dirty.
it's all dirty right there. When it's warm, these fish will, as soon as spring gets here, do this. But when it's cold, they do this. I would say for the first 13 seconds, it's a sign of good things to come. Current is ripping. Like if you look at that grass right there, that grass is jamming. And you want to bounce your bait, and I'm throwing a 3.5 inch coffee tube, which by the end of the day will be an MVP.
It's not going to make the end of the day.
Right.
For sure.
Here's a shocker. Let's throw a 3.5 inch striking coffee tube, green pumpkin, purple flake, which we throw that in cold water, warm water, any water. Whenever I crack a tube, I want to work it. But when you're in cold water with current, you almost want the current to work it for you.
Where'd he come from? He's cute though,
Yeah,
isn't he?
he's cute as a button. Oh gosh.
Another one?
Yeah.
Here, I better get out there then. Watch that.
We were using 1/2 ounce and a 3/4 ounce head. You kind of want to just a little bit, but the biggest thing, it's almost like a toilet flush, right? You want that current to flush that bait, because anything that a smallmouth eats in current is generally coming down current at a very natural flow.
Dude, I'm marking them, like marking some here and there. I mean, there's,
Right.
it's exactly what we talked about. I mean, there's, these fish just kind of run back and forth. You get on these pods, you know?
I have a cockroach theory, okay? I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and the cockroach theory to me is, when you have the lights on, they are compressed together and congregated, right? The cockroaches are all together under a steam table, under a nasty fridge in a Greek restaurant in Chicago that I used to work. Place's name was Tom's. That's no joke. The colder the water is, the more compressed bass generally are together. The warmer it is, the more spread out they get. We're around a wad of them.
Dude, I had that one, lost it, and then had another one just crush it. So what is that, like number 4 or number 5?
He's a hot mess right now.
Huh?
You're a total hot mess, an absolute train wreck. Yeah. They're big time aggressive. I was using a Lew's Pro TI with 15-pound smackdown braid to a 12-pound leader. Vandy was using just 12-pound fluorocarbon. Is not to overwork the bait. Let the bait do the work.
Hi there. He's just he's fat.
Ooh,
look at
that's
that.
a good one.
It's like a gold carp.
Yeah, it is.
This one lived out on Lake Erie for a while. Open it. See, that's why you're, look at where he's hooked.
He's mad.
He's hooked underneath his chin.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. Nice. I don't know what to do.
Throw back out there and catch one.
Let the bait do the work. And what was funny was we kept other things honest. I caught a couple on a baby Z2. Neil was trying some homemade blade baits that we throw this time of year. When they want a tube, when they want a coffee tube, throw it. The other thing is straight up, hands down, bar none, green pumpkin purple flake or green pumpkin gold and green flake. They're the only color tube you need on planet Earth for a smallmouth bass, period.
That one's got it in there.
Does he?
Yeah. Nice fat one.
That's exactly, if there's one thing you could take away from this video, besides throwing a 3.5-inch coffee tube every time you go fishing for a smallmouth, the other thing is, remember this, the colder the water is, the more compressed bass generally are together. The warmer it is, the more spread out they get. Oh, that water's cold. I mean, that is no melon head. I've taped so many Zona shows in brutal weather. When it's cold like this, net your fish. Don't sit there and play with them and scoop them and get wet, soaking wet. If you do not stay dry in weather like this, you are done. You are toast, you are finished. That's actually why whenever, if we're not taping anything, we always net fish this time of year, so your day is not shortened by being soaked and frozen.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, it is. Heck yeah.
He ate that green pumpkin gold one. Look at him.
Uh-huh. Ooh.
That was like the 10th bite I had on that one cast. He was following it.
I was getting.
You were getting big too?
Yeah. Without a
There's
doubt.
bunch of them there.
Without a doubt.
Got him? Nice.
Right where the school was. That's how many bass are there. That's how many bass are there. That's how many bass are there.
Did you just do that?
Yes.
You
Check
did it.
this out.
Look at.
You know there's a pile when you ain't hooking them in the mouth. Gosh, when you catch one, remember exactly where he came from.
That's a nice fat one.
Yeah, it is. But when you catch him by the tail, when you catch the tiger by the tail, that don't happen very often.
Oh,
Gosh, look at that little football.
he's fat. Isn't
You know things are gonna go the right way, or horribly wrong, when you cast out and catch one in the first 3.5 seconds. More than likely, that fish probably bit the weight.
You
I was
think?
on a drop shot, a little Z2, a little bit of Z2. He probably bit the weight, and my bait came in bit them in the behind. The other thing about smallmouth and current is when you catch one, make that same cast, okay? So if you're gonna take something away from this, if you really look through, when the water's cold, do not overwork your bait. Also, when the water's cold, remember exactly where the heck you just caught one. I just did an article. Hey. That's cold. I mean, that is cold. I just did an article with a guy. That's a nice one. I just did an article of that being like the forgotten lure. You know what I mean? Like you see things that come along and they kind of come in and out of style. But like some, you know, drop shotting and Nico rigs and Ned rigs. That little dude right there has kind of become the forgotten magic. But I will tell you, that kid up there, get him real quick. He's caught 10 billion bass on it.
We used to show up to tournaments years ago and have a tube, a light tube, a heavy tube, a dark tube, a white tube.
Yes.
So we had about 6 or 7 tubes tied on, and that's all we threw all day.
All day. And it's very similar to now.
And now we're trying to bring sexy back.
And the third thing is, oh man, if you've got a single friend that has been your fishing partner for the better side of 3 decades, and he's single, let him be an internet star. Yes, sir. It's what I did here. I don't want to touch the water again.
Oh.
You bad man, Vandy. Here's the thing about Vandy, is he is absolutely positively one of the best fishermen I have ever been around in my entire life. The other thing is, he's single. My whole vibe was, he's gonna be an internet star after this YouTube show. If you know what I mean, boy. Hey, who ordered a pizza?
So last night, when I was watching TV, I thought, well, I'm gonna rig these up so when we start smashing them, then I'm not gonna have to like stop and then rig them. But then to talk about the baits that, some of the baits that you need when the water's between, you know, 40 and the lower 50s, the baits that we always use and you have to have rigged this time of year.
That's beautiful.
And then you can't forget these guys here. The blade bait, 2 different blade baits. Some days they'll eat this blade more than this blade. And then you have the Z2s, the 3/4 ounce. And then you kind of just shave the head a little bit so it blends into those, the jig heads we got. And then the 3/4 and 1/2 ounce tubes. And then the swimmers. I know we haven't been throwing the swimmers today, but you have to have them on. You got to keep it honest for sure.
You see, this whole thing was a master plan. My man Vandy is a single fella, and he's like, hey, you think the ladies will like a internet fishing show? I'm like, more like love. Give you a sassy little shot of what we're fishing. What all we're fishing, God, there's a perfect example. See right there? It's 16 feet behind me, but you see all this concrete and all this rock. Wow, that's a great shot, actually. It's an area called the dumping grounds out here in Lake Erie. There's areas of the dumping grounds in St. Clair, Erie, where they just dumped tons of rubble from the city of Detroit back like 900 years ago. And these fish will either be on the front sides or the back sides, but that's a perfect look, basically, of where we're throwing. A lot of times you'll hang up, but if you can hit those hard edges, that's where you'll actually get a bite. This is a really big one right here. Yeah. Like you see, it's 14, 16 feet, whoop, comes all the way up to, some of these actually get up to like 9 feet, 10 feet of water. But all that is massive amounts of rock that was dumped in the lake many years ago, decades ago. Look at that. Just rows and rows. highways of boulder and rock. When we got out of the truck, it was like 25 degrees. The docks were frozen here. A lot of people don't fish. A lot of people just don't go out and fish. They wait till the water temp 60 or 70 degrees. You could have some of the best days of the year when the weather's like this. Oh, black mamba right there. I bet you there's a couple bass to be caught right there. Here's a real cool thing. So we started here this morning, and it's just a little cold water hole. Ooh, get up in here, you black mamba. And that's one of the things, that these spots will really reload, where I guarantee you he's gonna get bit right here. But that's the main thing that I've, throughout years of fishing out here with him and buddies that I fished here with, is just let them rest and they'll totally just reload. And the combination, in all honesty, the combination of cold water, number one, but current makes them throughout this day. Everywhere where we've got one bite, generally where you get one bite, you're gonna get 2 or 3 or 4. Sometimes, get him boy, get him boy. Ooh, he was far to the left. Nice.
I wonder why they're darker here.
He was far left.
Oh, dirty.
You a bad man, Vandy.
Oh, dirty.
You're a bad man. My man.
Oh, dirty.
Look, on like regular Zona shows, I've got my teeth kicked in here and there throughout the last 20 years. But to have your best buddy that you used to have, you know, that you used to fish tournaments with, that is absolutely awful. It truly sucks. And if you ever see an opportunity, granted, it was 25 degrees this morning, but there was no wind. Like in my lifetime, and I grew up fishing, putting in at this boat ramp since my early 20s, in my lifetime, I have not seen the weather the way it was when we were out there with no wind. Generally, when you come here, you're fixing to, you're gonna see the wrath of God. But one of the differences of all the shows that, whether it's a Zona show or I've done a Strike King show or a Bass Pro Shops deal, is usually we're cracking it and cracking it and cracking it. That's not the case here. You're just kind of, if you can imagine, it's almost like a kite in the wind. You know, when that bait gets down there in that current, it's just kind of slowly falling down current, where there's so much less action in this than the way Neil and I usually fish a tube. The colder the water, the less the action you want on really any of your baits. Doesn't matter if you're down south or up north, the warmer the water, the more action you want out of your bait. Get him, boy.
Here he comes, coming up. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a nice one. I better reach down there and grab him.
We only let like 15 go that size.
I know it. I got him. See how I did that without putting my hand in
I saw that. I like that. It's like a meat hook.
Yeah.
We're done.
We are done.
I love you, Vandy.
Love you too, bro.
Vandy Unplugged. Vandy Unplugged. Look at my guy Vandy, #1, right? Like, yeah, you could see him ringside as a trainer at a UFC fight. Well, I got news. Today, this kid's in the fight of his life to find a lady friend from this internet show. Neil at one time, he wasn't walking on the deck of the Death Star. He was flowing. Honestly, he was flowing. It's like his legs weren't even moving on the deck of the Death Star. What's funny is I've fished 9,000 tournaments with Neil, and old boy still shines. I'm talking about a whack-ass hammer. Can you put that on YouTube? I don't even know. I don't know if you can say that. Who calls his friend a whack-ass hammer? Fun day, man. That's a cool day.